You're looking at Los Angeles. Demonstrations are happening right across the United States today to oppose the Trump administration.
Trump just turned 79 on June 14th, and instead of a quiet birthday dinner, the streets of Washington, D.C. were rumbling with tanks, marching soldiers, and roaring helicopters. But this wasn't just about Trump's birthday. It was the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary. The military parade was supposed to be a proud, historic celebration. Instead, it sparked a political firestorm, with thousands taking to the streets in what became a major protest movement called No Kings. The parade started in the afternoon and rolled down Constitution Avenue. Over 7,000 troops and 150 military vehicles filled the streets. There were tanks, strikers, howitzers, and even robotic military dogs. Overhead, helicopters and vintage planes soared through the sky, creating a loud, dramatic scene that stretched from the Lincoln Memorial to the Washington Monument. Historical reenactors joined in too, dressed in uniforms from past wars, walking side by side with today's soldiers. People lined the streets, many in red MAGA hats, waving flags and cheering as military bands played and troops saluted. And there was Trump, standing on a raised platform behind bulletproof glass, watching it all unfold. At one point, the crowd broke into a loud version of Happy Birthday, singing directly to the former president as he smiled and saluted. Trump seemed to love every second of it. He even posted about it online, calling it a happy parade, though he misspelled it as pirade, which of course went viral for all the wrong reasons. Memes exploded. His supporters praised the parade as patriotic and powerful. His critics saw something very different. That's because while the tanks were rolling and the helicopters were flying, something else was happening across the country. Massive protests under the banner No Kings. It wasn't just a few angry signs. These were big, organized events in all 50 states. In D.C., Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles, crowds gathered to send one loud message: America doesn't need a king, and it doesn't need military parades that feel like something from an authoritarian regime.
Yeah, Johnny, and we've been following the protesters as they march from Center City, starting at City Hall, through Love Park, through Logan Square. Now you can see here they're in front of the Art Museum, and it is definitely a huge group of people. We're in the outskirts right now of the crowd, but if you can see the crowd kind of going in towards the Art Museum, it's packed shoulder to shoulder out here on the street. You can see people still flooding in from Center City through the Parkway, trying to get in to hear some of the speeches that are happening. There are different speakers taking to the stage. You can see a lot of signs, a lot of American flags out here. Now, we have seen it overwhelmingly very peaceful. People of all ages showing up today to participate in the No Kings Day protests.
In New York City alone, around 200,000 people packed the streets. In Los Angeles, over 20,000 marched peacefully through downtown. Protesters carried signs with slogans like, "No Kings, just democracy," "This isn't a dictatorship," and "Donald Trump has got to go." In Boston, one clever protester held up a sign that said, "No Kings, but Yas Queen," combining Pride Month energy with political pushback. This movement was led by groups like Indivisible and the ACLU, who accused Trump of using the military for personal celebration and political power. They claimed this parade was less about honoring the army and more about Trump flexing for the cameras on his birthday. Their message? America is a democracy, not a monarchy. That's why the name No Kings caught on so quickly. It summed up everything they were trying to say. Even some Republicans weren't thrilled. A number of GOP lawmakers skipped the parade completely. Senator Rand Paul, for example, questioned the need for such a costly and over-the-top event. He said it reminded him of how dictators celebrate themselves, using the military as a prop. Others quietly agreed, but didn't speak up publicly. As the day went on, the divide between the parade and the protests only grew. Fox News focused on the patriotic side of the story. Beautiful shots of tanks, soldiers, and Trump saluting. Their coverage praised the display as a bold show of strength and unity. They downplayed the protests or painted them as angry mobs trying to ruin a national celebration. Meanwhile, left-leaning media like Politico and MSNBC highlighted the protests. They interviewed organizers who said they were defending democracy. They showed scenes of peaceful crowds, rainbow flags, protest signs, and people singing songs of resistance. They pointed out the timing, Trump's birthday on the same day as the Army's 250th anniversary, and argued that this parade was designed to blur the lines between military loyalty and political loyalty. And then there was social media, where both sides clashed hard. On Twitter and TikTok, videos of the parade went viral. Robot dogs marching, kids waving flags, jets flying overhead, but so did protest videos. A clip of the massive crowd in New York shouting "No Kings" quickly hit millions of views. The misspelled parade post from Trump also caught fire, with people screenshotting it and turning it into a joke. Hashtags like "No Kings" and Army 250 were trending all day. Despite the tension, most of the protests remained peaceful. Police were on alert, especially in D.C. and major cities like L.A. and Chicago. In some places like Texas and California, things did get heated, with officers using horses, flashbangs, and tear gas to control the crowd. But overall, organizers kept the focus on nonviolence and unity. Some tragic news did hit the movement, though. In Minnesota, a state lawmaker who supported the protests was shot earlier that day, which led local organizers to cancel their rally out of safety concerns. Even so, the national message of "No Kings" was loud and clear. By the end of the night, after the Golden Knights parachuted down with a massive American flag and fireworks lit up the sky, both sides claimed a kind of victory. Trump's supporters celebrated a powerful show of military might and patriotism. Protesters celebrated one of the biggest coordinated demonstrations of the year, uniting thousands under a message of democracy and resistance. The U.S. Army's 250th anniversary was always going to be a big deal. But the way it unfolded, with a massive military parade on Trump's birthday and a national protest movement exploding in response, turned it into something more. It became a moment that showed just how divided America still is. One side sees strength and pride, the other sees power grabs and dangerous symbolism. Whatever your view, June 14th, 2025, will be remembered not just for the tanks or the birthday candles, but for the battle of messages that took place in the heart of the nation's capital, a parade for the army, a protest for democracy, and a president who stood right in the middle of it all, waving to his supporters as fireworks burst above the Washington skyline.